All right, guys, how you doing? Andrew Muller here with Maps Insurance, here with Rob Word with Holy City Gutter Works. How you doing, Rob?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing great. So before we get started talking about Holy City Gutter Works, and actually before I ask you a few questions, I didn't say I was going to bring this up because it just hit my mind. When I first met you, it was back in I don't know, it was like 09, 2010, and I was looking for a gym to join.
Yeah, baby.
And you were working at East Shore Athletic Club over on Johnny Dodds here in Mount Pleasant. And after I got done working out, you sold me, you were trying to sell me one of your CDs because you were in a band at the time. And I bought it. I remember buying it. But anyway, that's how we met. So are you still in a band?
I still play music pretty regularly. Been involved in a couple recording projects, but obviously with the current pandemic in place, there's not a lot of live music going on right now. So, and compound that with a growing business and 3 young kids. These days, playing music for me winds up being more like a vacation. I'll go out and I'll go and tour for a week with some of my friends that are still out doing it for a living. But that landscape for me has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I bet. Certainly, you got your hands full for sure. And then just another thing, I know we've got a lot of clients that are from Virginia and UVA fans who played baseball at UVA. So now, did you win any national championships when you were there?
I did. UVA. So not when I was there. What's funny is they made us look good since I left. When I was there, we were roughly a 500 team.
Well, you were building that foundation.
That's at least what I'm going to tell. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, that's good. You were building the foundation. Cool. So, all right, a few questions here. iPhone or Droid?
iPhone.
iPhone.
You put a Droid in my hands, and I'm going to be a lost puppy. I've been on an iPhone since they came out, and if I were to move at this point, I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Took you for a Droid guy. That's all right, though. It's all right. Okay. Do you love to win, or do you hate to lose?
I love to win. It feels good.
Love that answer.
I mean, I could say technically both because I hate to lose probably almost as much as I love to win, but I think it's the thrill of victory.
100%. I'm with you. Yeah, you never want to lose, but when you win, that feeling when you win, it's awesome. Okay, so you kind of hit on a few things. What keeps you busy outside of work?
I still try to play music as much as I can. I'm on music staff at Mount Pleasant Presbyterian with the blended service, which is kind of a traditional field service with contemporary music. I've been doing that for almost a decade at this point.
That's awesome.
At one point I was even running it, which is frightening, but yeah, I play music there pretty regularly, and then this business has eaten up most of my free time as well.
Yeah. So tell us about the business. Tell us the why you got into gutters. And that doesn't sound like a real, in my opinion, a real fun, sexy business to be in.
It's not a very glamorous. It's not a very glamorous industry, that's for sure. So when I moved back here from Charlottesville, I was flipping houses in Charlottesville. Ultimately, when I came back, just leaving that business on good terms and making sure that I didn't really know this market well enough to get into flipping houses down here. So I started applying for jobs and wound up getting a job offer from a large national gutter protection company. Prior to that, 0 experience in gutters, and I worked there for a year. And I think it's been the theme of my life that once I make it through the learning process, I love the learning process on anything that I do. And basically any job I've ever had, once I make it through the learning process and I have to start dealing with bureaucracy, I would lose my excitement for it. So about a year into that job, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave and start my own thing. I mean, there was more of a catalyst than that. But, you know, ultimately I just decided that I'd kind of had enough of it, and I left. And I had a gutter machine, and I was like, you know what, I've been managing these guys for a year. Like, how hard can it be? And I jumped in. I actually initially started this as a bridge to getting into another job.
Okay.
And then I've been doing it for about 3 months. When that, you know, when I finally got the job offer and sat down to talk income, and you know, 3 months of doing the math on hanging gutter like 3 days a week, and you know, we were an entire salary apart. So I walked out of that meeting and I called my wife and I said, well, I guess I'm a gutter guy. And from there, it's been, you know, just pedal to the floor, trying to build a good business that people want to work for. And, you know, I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, my entire purpose behind this is so I can sleep at night. People paying for, you know, good contractors work. And all I want to do is provide it. Makes me.
Yeah. It's crazy how some things happen in life, and then you kind of find what you're supposed to do, and what you're meant to do. And this is obviously, it's, you know, nobody, I don't think, grows up thinking they want to do gutters, but you know, it's a great way. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you're helping people's homes look attractive and helping the house stay healthy by not having water intrusion and other issues that can happen. So gutters really play a big role in keeping a house, you know, from having issues. And so, so question for you: how long does it take to put gutters on a house? Now I know every house is a different size, but say, you know, 3,000 square foot home in here in Mount Pleasant.
You know, a lot of times, if it's not a particularly complicated install or doesn't involve really tall ladders, which, you know, one of the things we face a lot in Mount Pleasant is that you've got, you know, 3-story homes where you're working off of, you know, 32 and 40-foot ladders. Typically we can do a 3,000 square foot home in about half a day. Our crews are big enough now that, you know, depending on the size and depending on how many crews I stick out, you know, if I put 2 crews on a larger job, I mean, we can get almost any job done in a day.
Okay, I was thinking it would take like a couple days to a week. So that's awesome. That is great. And so your servicing area, I see here on your website, it says service area. I mean, you're pretty much all over the Low Country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm basically from Kiawah to Moncks Corner now. Part of this next phase that we're moving into is our intent is you know, to start opening satellite offices. We still got some systemic things that we need to work through before we get there, but you know, my intent is eventually to be able to cover, hopefully, you know, most, if not all, the coast.
That's awesome. That's great. And I see here, I'm on a page right now, the copper. So you do a lot of higher end stuff, and so you do all levels of everything, right?
We do. So everything from commercial to copper, galvalume. Really, one of the things, you know, the reason we got into copper is, you know, I'm inherently an artist in one way or another, being a musician. And I was looking for something that kind of scratched both itches. And copper is, especially this European copper, which is what you're looking at on the website. That is, you know, kind of where the artistry and the labor meet. And we have the opportunity to do kind of like the interesting, see, that one has a lion's head on it with the lion head's brackets.
Right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a particularly high-end custom edition. Same thing with you can see there's like the hangers are curled out on the ends of the gutter hangers. Now, obviously, you know, that is not the cheapest install. You know, this is definitely a high-end customer, and he was very adamant that, you know, he wanted something unique. So this is a one-off. I mean, we've done a couple of installs like this, but, you know, not one of these has been the same. And, you know, these are a treat because, you know, at the end of the day, when they're done, like, that's a work of art.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That's something that'll last forever. So
absolutely,
it makes a statement on a house. You know, a lot of times, if you don't have a gutter, you don't really think about it, but if you see a gutter like this, I mean, that totally changes the look of a house.
Mm-hmm.
So
And what's awesome about copper too is it's got a lifespan of 100 years.
yeah,
Done
yeah,
correctly. This is one of the things that we found out as my knowledge base has grown is, you know, copper is particular in the way it's done. It needs to be soldered, and every copper gutter we've put our hands on in the area, other than the ones we've done, have been caulked versus soldered, which means
okay.
taking a 100-year product and making it like a 15 to 20-year product if you caulk it. So.
Got it. And so real quick, we'll finish on this. I know you mentioned on the copper it wasn't, you know, the cheapest installation, and certainly as it relates to price, you know, we were talking earlier, you guys are not always going to be the least expensive option out there, but we were talking about because of your process and the extra, like the higher quality materials that you're using. You want to speak on that really quick?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think ultimately when people, you know, buy a product and when we sit down with them, you know, we bring to the table, I'm a huge research nerd, and, you know, if we have had a problem with it more than once, I've probably tried to figure it out. So anytime that we run into a situation that would cause the gutters to fail, or, you know, I mean, you're looking at pictures of the gutter protection right now.
Yeah.
You know, we've vetted out pretty hard a really, really good gutter protection system that I feel like, you know, there's two sides to it. There's understanding how to install it, and then the actual product itself. And, you know, while we're not the cheapest, it's because at the end of the day, when we walk away, like, I'm pretty confident that we have, you know, we've built that thing like a tank. And, you know, the lifespan of gutters is typically around 30 years. And I feel pretty confident that once it's in and on, you know, barring any kind of particular, you know, there is an art and a science to installation. So not everyone goes absolutely perfect. Occasionally we have to go and touch things up. But, you know, at the end of the day, when our hands are off of it, my intent is that it survives for every bit of 30 years.
Yeah, yeah.
On the product longer. You know, I mean, if we put copper on a house, I expect it to last 100 years.
Yeah, I mean, but in today's world, I mean, most people aren't staying in a house for 30 years. So, I mean,
I agree. No, I mean, I totally understand that, but, you know, at the same time, a lot of these people at the time have emotional connections to their home, and the way I look at it is, you know, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do subpar, you know, like profit only work on my own home. So I've kind of I've taken the approach from the get-go is that, like, you know, your house is my house until my hands are off of it.
That's awesome. That's a good way of looking at it. Now, you mentioned that you don't really have any specials going on per se right now. Sometimes you'll run specials or not, so people just have to reach out. But you did say that, you know, especially if somebody mentions this, you know, Mathis Insurance took them to you, you're going to give them the absolute best price that you absolutely can. So,
a client of yours, I mean, I'm a client of yours.
Yes,
so,
sir.
So you got to take care of your people.
I agree 100%. Well, we hope people head over to holycitygutterworks.com, check it out, reach out, and reach out to you guys and, you know, get some quotes or get a consultation, whatever you guys call it, and get some work scheduled for you all. Keep your growing team busy, and hopefully help you grow a little bit more. So we appreciate you hopping on here.
Absolutely. Thank you for the time.
All right. Thanks, Rob.